Welcome, everyone. Welcome in this new podcast of Let's Talk AI. Today, I have the honor to be with Koo Ping Shung. Hi, Koo. How are you doing?
Hey, hi Thomas. Hi everyone. I'm good today. Although even though it's evening here in Singapore.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the morning for me here. I'm in Madrid based. I'm very happy to have you on the podcast. I would like to maybe start with a little introduction.
Mm.
Could you describe yourself in a few words?
Wow, describe myself in a few words. I'll try to because okay, so I'm here in Singapore. I'm a instructor, consultant, mentor, and also startup advisor to quite a few startups over here. So the main area that I'm involved in is data science, and artificial intelligence. Yeah. So hopefully, very few words. Uh,
That's awesome. To dive a little bit, so I would like in this episode to talk about a lot of things with you, such
sure.
as data science. You've built a tech community. You're helping so many people out. So I was really looking forward for this episode, and I want to learn a lot from you.
Thank you.
And I guess that the people listening are also looking forward to this.
Mm.
Maybe just to catch up with the present moment, I would like to ask you, what are you trying to achieve at the moment? What are your goals in the present?
My goal at the present is I want to get more people interested in data science and artificial intelligence. When I say interested, of course, there are different levels of interest as well. Like, for instance, maybe understand what the technology is. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one. Second thing is also seeing it as a possible career as well. But having said that, my main goal is not to get everyone interested in AI and data science as a career, but rather to have a better understanding of what data science is, what
Mm.
artificial intelligence is, because out there there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of myths and all this, and I felt that it's sort of a bit impeding on the growth of the
Mm-hmm.
industry. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so if everyone has a very good understanding of what data science is or what artificial intelligence is, then I
Mm.
think the industry can grow much better and flourish as well. Yeah.
Mm. Yes, it makes sense.
Mm.
And more than ever, with all, for example, all the new models of OpenAI like ChatGPT, and now that everyone is talking more and more about AI, I feel like it's super important to define everything because it can be very misinterpreted.
Yes.
Maybe just doing a fun actuality
Mm.
question. What
Mm.
do you think about what's going on regarding for example, the new models of OpenAI that really broadcast the potential of AI, and like it can improve so many fields, like for example, the education field. Today, before we were looking at Power BI's video on YouTube or
Mm.
like coding video on YouTube, but now we can just chat with ChatGPT, asking for some things and concepts, and go learning and coding, and
Yeah.
we don't even need tutorials anymore. So this is kind of biased by my point of view, but
Mm.
how do you feel about all of that?
Well, okay. I think one of the biggest concern right now, especially if you're someone from Google, right, will be whether ChatGPT is going to replace Google in the first place. And I get that kind of question a lot also from my friends and also from other people before this podcast. So I was discussing with them and all this. Um, my opinion is I don't think ChatGPT will replace Google, at least not in the immediate form right now that it is. I tried out ChatGPT. I kind of like the fact that it's very close to human kind of conversation. Not saying that it's very not saying that that's bad and all this. But having said that, I think Google has certain advantages. Reason being is, like, for instance, I think all of us, right, we have tried to use Google search for quite numerous time actually, for our learning purposes and all this. So at least Google will is in a position to have learned about our habits, our tendency, our intuition of when we type certain words, right? What are we really looking for? Like, for instance, maybe let's say for me, right? If I type in uh Apple, let's say I type in Apple on Google search, right? Google will have already known that Koo is someone with that is involved in technology and all these are right. So likely case is Google then will say that, oh, when you type in Apple, I'm going to give you Apple products or some description on Apple products. Whereas let's say for instance maybe if a non-technology friend of mine right type in Apple on Google, right, Google is going to say, no, this guy hasn't been looking at technology for so much and all this. Right? So likely case is maybe he or she is looking for some health benefits of Apple. Yeah, so I think that will put Google to a certain advantage already, given the fact that most of us have used Google for search. So that's one. Second thing is also, since ChatGPT is like a human, you're talking to a human, right? I'm not saying that humans tend to lie, but there's a chance that we will mix in with our own opinion when we chat with someone. We'll mix in with our own opinion, our own emotions, and our own experience and background with certain things right before we talk to someone and such. So if you look at it, right, ChatGPT, you're talking to a human, so you don't know whether whatever that is expressed and all this, right, could be the truth, could be a fact, could be a truth, could be a opinion, and then that's where um, it may not be that great compared to Google search. That's what I feel. That's the difference between the two. But however, I'm quite excited by ChatGPT. Reason being is that I think ChatGPT has a very good potential to become a research assistant, a teaching assistant for people like me, right, who is involved with education and training. So I'm quite excited about it. But as of now, I would say my conclusion or opinion of it is I don't think I don't think ChatGPT will replace Google so soon. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your point of view. I really appreciate, and I'm very aligned with what you mentioned. And regarding ChatGPT being a great assistant, I
Yeah.
agree so much with that, because just for example, yesterday, um, I was doing a Flask application, and I was working on a few things and a few
Mm,
concepts.
mm,
And instead of like doing me a course on link on Udemy about and like finding what I'm looking for at the moment,
mm,
um, I was just chatting with ChatGPT, and I
mm.
was understanding the concepts of how it was working, and I was asking him specific questions to keep learning. And
Yeah.
in the 2 hour session,
Mm,
I've learned like if I was with a professor, you know.
yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yep.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you for this little news, actuality part. I would really like to ask you about the tech communities that you've built
Mm,
and your past career. So, first of all, can you tell us a bit about this tech community that you've
okay.
built and the
Sure.
insights of building it?
Sure. So my first tech community is this software company called SaaS. So it's called the SaaS user group. So that was the first community that I tried to build. Unfortunately, of course, it failed. We didn't have enough members and all this. So, but that actually helps to build the foundation for my next tech community that I'm building. I'm still building right now. It's called Data Science SG, stands for Data Science Singapore. So we started Data Science Singapore with a few of my friends in 2014. Yeah, in 2014, early 2014 actually. So that's the first tech community we built. We have gained quite a fair bit of success. We are now almost running one meetup every month, and we have a lot of all the big companies who are working with us. We have like AWS, we have Google. Sometimes we also over here we have like I think it's Dyson. So I think next
Mm.
meetup you're going to have actually have Dyson to share with us. However, things may change, so you don't know. But we are at a point where it's self-sustaining already. We have people who will approach us and say that, hey, we would like to speak to your tech community and all this. So I'm very happy with what we have built to so far. So that's the one of the current tech community that I'm running. The other tech community that I'm running right now is called AI Professionals Association. So this one
Mhm.
is a formal body, unlike Data Science SG. So for that, we are building tools for AI engineers and AI scientists.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of tools, right? What we are looking for is to build tools to help make AI more effective,
Mm-hmm.
efficient, and
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, ethically. Be able to use AI ethically as well. So we are developing, I'll put in quotes, products to help our AI scientists, our AI professionals, right, to be able to deploy AI through that three E's lah, the effectiveness, the efficient, and also ethically as well. Yeah. So that's the second one. So that one just started recently. So the first product that we came up with is called the Chartered AI Engineer. It's called a Chartered AI Engineer. So it's a professional qualification. Why we have that is when I was running Data Science SG, we noticed two things, two groups of people. They
Mm-hmm.
have challenges. So what are the challenges? Like for instance, let's talk about the talents, the individual talents. So individual talents, most of them, they are quite new to the space as well. They are not quite new to the space of artificial intelligence. So they don't know like what are the kind of skills uh, that's needed for commercial projects deployment. For
Mm-hmm.
so what happened is then they always ask me this question, cool, I do not know whether I'm adequately equipped with the skills and knowledge to start in the AI job, to start in the AI job.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that kind of questions a lot. And another thing is because they were saying also now out there are so many courses, right? There are so many courses and all this. So it's very difficult to choose which are the courses that is relevant to building up the skill set, uh, to build up the skill set, right? So what we did was we said, hey, okay, to help all of you, right? So this is what we'll do. We'll publish the skills framework. So the skills framework is actually found on the AI Professionals Association website. So with that skills framework published also, right? What happened is we are also helping the other side of the equation, which is the employers.
Mm-hmm.
So employers also have this question. They are wondering like, hey, so I have employers asking me, right? I say, hey, cool, like data science and artificial intelligence are very new. But and we want to do deployment. We do see there are use cases to deploy it as a project and all this, but we do not know whether the person we're going to hire has the skills and knowledge uh, to do that
Mm-hmm.
kind of deployment. So with that in mind, right, then this is where I said, hey, now we have this skills framework. So all you have to do is just look at this skills framework, right, and then you'll be able to find the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I tell them, I said, there's a bonus here. What's the bonus? The bonus is that why not you sign a collaboration agreement with us, with AI Professionals Association, and whenever we run this intake, right, whenever you run this test and intake and all this, right, once we have people who are qualified already, we send them to you lah. We send them to you so that you can hire them. You can look at them, then you hire them, and you can quickly uh, assess their soft skills instead.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the current challenges right now is an engineer, right? When he or she apply to all the different jobs,
Mm-hmm.
each company that he or she applied to has a technical test.
Mm-hmm.
Can imagine the frustration, or you go for so many technical tests, but you're only going to be hired for only just one company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we saw that as, hey, why not we do it this way lah? You just come and sit for my technical test. You pass, you get your uh skills and all this qualified already. Then we give you the title of Chartered AI Engineer, and then you can use
Mm-hmm.
that title to go and tell other people, like, hey, we are already qualified. We have these skills that is qualified by a professional association. Uh, then they can then apply for the jobs. And then employer look at it and say, yeah, okay, since you're qualified already, we know that you have this skill set, which is
Mm-hmm.
published on the website. Then they can do the hiring and then focus more on the soft skills, on the
Mm.
culture fit and the soft skills. Yeah.
Okay, so you have now two tech communities, right? You have
Yes.
the AI professionals,
Yeah.
where it is very like you've built a technical test.
Mm.
Um, do you take into account soft skills too, or your test is only technical and then you send the candidates to?
So we have three profiles that we do the test on.
Okay.
So the one of the profiles is solely focused on technical skills, but the other two profiles we do have some components of soft skills as well. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think some of the audience may be starting to think, how do we then access the soft skills and all this, all right? So how we do that is we do it through interviews. Uh, and we don't have a single assessor to do the interview. Rather, we try to have minimum two assessor, but ideally three assessor, right, to do the interviews and make the assessment on the soft skills instead. Uh,
Mm.
and our assessors are existing practitioners or hiring
Mm-hmm.
managers, so they know what kind of skills, what kind of soft skills
Mm.
is needed. Yeah,
Okay, that's awesome. That's super interesting.
yep,
Like for the people who are listening, we'll also I will also ask you different questions on like how to improve, how to grow a career in data science, where data science is going,
mm,
machine learning engineers, data engineers.
mm,
So this is the kind of question I want to ask you.
sure,
Um, and many more. 1 hour is not enough, but we'll try to we'll try to do it. Okay, so now I understand better the two communities. Oh,
mm,
just to finish on the communities
mm,
and pursue on the data science part and some questions that I have for you.
mm.
Um, you told me when we did the first call that you were trying a podcast and a YouTube channel.
Ah,
Can you talk a little bit about that?
okay. So I'm a believer in collecting unique experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a believer in collecting unique experiences. So what's unique experiences? Unique experiences means
Yes.
that I become a podcast. I become a podcaster, because most people will be in my current position. That means as a guest of a podcast. But I thought that, hey, I like to be able to gain some unique experience. So why not I start my own podcast channel together with a co-host of mine?
Mm-hmm.
And that also allows me to have a more control on what I can learn from my guests as well, like so that I can ask the
Mm.
questions and all this. I'm pretty sure you understand that. Yeah. So
Yes.
I can sit on that control position, right, and then say ask the questions that, hey, I'd like to learn from this guest. What, what's his experience like? For instance, just now you were mentioning about learning from building a community, which is very unique and all this. So that's for podcasting. Then for YouTube, yeah, same thing as well. It's more like for my own learning experience as well. I like to understand how to build up a YouTube channel. What does it take to build up a YouTube channel? I can safely say for now it really takes a lot of effort to try to come up with the content, and also to do a very nice content and all this. Uh,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because the time requirement it takes up for now, I can't put up too much content. So I probably only have, if I remember correctly, about maybe 5 or 6
Mm.
videos right now. And I hope that as time goes by, I have more time to really put in some good content to share with the audiences of mine, especially the subscribers. Yeah.
Awesome. And what is the YouTube channel about? And the podcast?
YouTube channel is actually called Building Intelligence Together.
Okay.
Building intelligence together. So I'm actually trying to share what I mean by building intelligence together, right? So first thing, of course, is since I'm in the space of artificial intelligence, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to share a bit more like how do we build artificial intelligence. So that's why I build intelligence together.
Mm.
Second thing is also I like to grow together with my audience. So again, building intelligence together with the audience. So it's
Mm.
building artificial intelligence together with the audience. It's also building knowledge and intelligence with the audience as well. So I that's why the YouTube channel is called Building Intelligence Together. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm also I really relate to what you're saying. Like you're going for challenges and trying new things,
Mm,
and well, I would be very interesting for everyone that is listening to tell us to check to give a look to your things.
thank you.
I recently started doing coding,
Mm,
like doing live, for example, and
oh.
this is something that I really want to push forward, like the live experience
Mm,
with experts like you, for example. Like for example, I open a notebook or Flask application or
Mm,
whatever, and we just sit around 1 hour and a half and we build something,
mm, mm,
or we just maybe we can also do like this typical uh, tech interview exams, and like we solve it with a guest or me alone.
mm.
But like there are so many interesting things to do in life
Yeah,
that I will be experimenting on that on 2023. I will also ask you later on what are your goals for 2023,
sure.
um, for now and for the people who are listening,
Mm,
I would like to ask you a bit more about data science
mm.
and what a data scientist means in 2023
Okay,
and how it is going to grow.
okay. Um, so data science, I would say I think currently right now, a lot of there's a lot of all this talk about auto ML,
Mm,
and then auto ML is going to replace data scientists. I think that's a lot. That's a lot of talk and all this. Then so I get questions from people who say, "Hey, cool with the auto ML and all this. Does it mean that as a data scientist, I myself will get replaced with automation and all this?" I like to reassure the audience, at least from my perspective, from my opinion and perspective, I don't
mm-hmm,
think that's the case.
mm-hmm,
Uh, how I look at data science or data scientists, right? At the end of the day, a data scientist value comes from providing solutions, possible and feasible solutions
mm-hmm,
through data or supported by data. So what we really do, what a data scientist really do, is to look at the data, apply some mathematics, modeling, or algorithms or functions and all this, right? And then be able to churn out maybe solutions, insights, and all this. I think the part about churning insights and solution is where the most value comes from,
mm-hmm,
not the application of the mathematical model. Not the application of a mathematical model. So I feel that auto ML actually helps the data scientist to be able to provide more value rather than replacing the data scientist. Uh, because at the end of the day, what I share with most people, right? A data scientist is like a surgeon. Data scientist is like a surgeon. So, like a surgeon, right? So surgeon go to medical schools. Then they learn all the like medicine, the surgical procedures, the surgical tools, and all this, right?
mm-hmm,
Um, Similarly, a data scientist probably will have either go to a boot camp or degree program or learn up all the different tools and all this.
mm-hmm,
But our value doesn't come from learning a lot of tools. A data scientist value comes from being able to put all these tools together and at the end of the day generate something of value, which could be
mm,
a insight or solution.
mm,
Uh, so I would say that even from 2023 onwards, right, for a data scientist or anyone who is interested to be a data scientist, to always focus on providing value to your employer, to the person who's giving you a salary. Uh, the more
mm.
value you provide, the likely chance that you can increase your salary. I'll put it this way. Yeah, I'll put it this way. So I would say going forward, regardless, right? I think the never dying principle as a data scientist is always focus on providing value. Uh, don't
Mm,
worry about auto ML. I think auto
mm,
ML is just a good another tool for a data scientist to be able to provide value. Yeah.
mm.
Uh,
Yeah, that's super interesting.
mm,
And I really feel like nowadays the data engineers, the data scientists, the machine learning engineer,
mm,
all of those roles can be combined into one role
mm,
when someone will be more expert on one thing maybe, but
mm.
being able to understand the overall process
Yeah.
and like move it and
Mm,
build new projects, new
yeah.
tools that adds value.
Mm,
um, I understand.
mm.
uh,
I think data science itself is a team sport.
mm,
You because the things that you need to learn, let's say if you really want to understand the whole chain of things, right, from data collection all the way to business implementation, there's so many things to learn, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, and let's not even talk about, let's, if you just look at data engineering alone, right, you have to think about what are the kind of tech stack to put together, how do you build the pipeline, and then the
Mm,
way that you build the pipelines and all this is also not so straightforward because it really depends on the use cases that you're looking at. Is your use cases, is it a streaming use case or is it a
exactly.
static data use case and all this, right? So just, so that's the data engineering part. Then the data scientist part also have to think about what kind of like formulas, maths formulas, how do we use the data to generate the insights, the decisions and all this. Then after that, once you have that kind of thought ready, you move on to MLE, the machine learning engineer. Machine learning engineer have to deal with all the different tech stacks. There's, I think just now like you were mentioning, there's Flask, right? There's Flask, there's Kubernetes, there's also all these containers that we have to think about how to put them together to be
Mm,
able to deploy the machine learning models or the mathematical models and all this.
mm-hmm,
So yes, I I would say that I think going forward, data science data science will just become more and more of a team sport.
mm,
And I also do agree with you that it's good that the three parties, for now, actually in fact 4 parties are not 3 parties, the data engineer, the data scientist. In fact, I'll even have another one which is data analyst, data
mm,
scientist, data analyst, then machine learning engineer, and also the business stakeholders. These 5 groups of people will
mm,
have to learn how to come together and work together. Uh,
mm,
so in fact, I would say all 5 of them have to be able to talk the different languages,
mm-hmm,
and also learn how to be a team player. Uh,
mm. That's super interesting. I really
yeah,
like how you put together those five and you summarize those roles. Um, Perfect.
yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you something about you because we're talking about careers, data scientists.
Mm.
Um, how do you overcome challenges? And maybe you have an example from your experience and
How do
career.
we overcome challenges?
This is a very large question.
Yeah, it is. I think first thing first is don't lose confidence. Don't lose confidence. Uh, and also be able to know what are your resources for overcoming challenges as well. I think that's the most important.
Mm,
Um, like so, like for me, right? For most people who follow my LinkedIn posts and all this, I do share like how do you overcome some of these challenges. Like for so one of the things that I strongly advocate, right, is find a relevant mentor,
mm,
someone who may have who may have gone through the challenge before and was able to overcome it. I think getting a good mentor
mm,
is a very good step to do, to take on, to go through a challenge. Um, Google or DuckDuckGo or search engines, I'll put it in general. Also, if you are able to put in the right keywords, right, you should be
mm,
able to find some solutions online as well,
mm,
because there are people who will blog about the solutions. People will
mm,
blog about the kind of challenges that they face and then how do they overcome the challenges as well.
mm,
I think at the end of the day, resources, there are a lot of resources out there lah, for you to overcome any of the challenges.
mm,
It's more a matter of where to look for the resources.
mm,
And at the end of the day, what I would say is stay humble. Stay humble, stay open-minded. Don't come in with too many assumptions.
mm,
Don't come in with too many assumptions. As they always say, try to think out of the box. But I always will add on to that, and that is before you even want to start thinking about out of the box, right? The first thing is you have to define the box first.
mm,
If you don't define the box, then how do you know whether you're out of the box or not?
mm, mm.
Yeah.
That's a
So
fun that's a fun analogy and so you wanted to make a conclusion or do you want did you wanted to add something else?
yeah, so I would say at the end of the day, stay humble, be open minded. Always ask yourself what kind of assumptions you're making.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, look for the resources. Uh,
Mm,
Really, I think everyone face the same challenges.
mm,
Uh, or at least you will find someone out there who has already faced the same challenges and
mm,
may have already put up the solution.
mm.
Yeah, so look for them. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And you mentioned mentoring. You mentioned finding a mentor. And
Mm,
this is a topic for young people or even people more advanced in their careers.
Yeah, yeah.
This is always an interesting process, and I would be very interesting to hear you about
Mm,
how do you find a good mentor, and how do you reach out, and how do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how do you do it?
Uh, okay, mentor are I can tell you very good mentors are usually very busy people. They really have a lot of work, a lot of things to look out for to be working on. But you know that this is a mark of success. That means these are the mentors you want to look for because they're already on the way, so to speak. Uh, so what I would say is if you're looking for a good mentor, right? First thing first is check out the LinkedIn profile if there's a possibility. Check out the LinkedIn profile, look at the experience, look at the background, and ask yourself, is this someone you want to learn from?
Mm,
So answer that question first. Once you answer the question, the answer is yes. Then the next thing is try to ask around. If you can, try to ask around. So what do you mean by ask around? Like for instance, maybe if you know that this particular mentor often goes and speak, go and talk to people who has listened to the mentor speak or has interaction with the mentor, and
mm,
then try to find out a bit more about the mentor.
mm,
When I say try to find out a bit more about the mentor, try to understand the characteristics, the character of the mentor as well. Now, why is
mm,
that so? Is you have to also find a good mentor that is easy to get along with. I I mean there are certain characters that's character clash, but there are
yes.
certain people who can get along very well with each other, right?
Mm,
So you want to find a mentor that you can get along with.
mm,
That's one. Second thing is also the mentor is willing to share.
mm,
You need to find a mentor that's willing to share with you as well. Um, so first question, always ask yourself the experience and background. After that, try to find about the character, whether there's a good character fit, and whether the mentor is willing to share uh, and all. So once you have that ready, right, then the next thing is you need to approach. Then you need to approach the mentor already lah. But having said that, right, when you approach a mentor, you also have to ask yourself, what's your value proposition? What
mm-hmm,
kind of value can
mm-hmm,
you provide the mentor as well?
mm-hmm,
Uh, Not saying that the mentor are very pragmatic people who are always looking for benefits and all this, but you also have to ask yourself, hey, the mentor is going to spend time with you, right? If the mentor is going to spend time with you, you have to be able to provide something back to the mentor as well.
mm.
So ask yourself then the question you have to ask yourself is what can you provide back to the mentor?
But
Uh,
that's something that can for a lot of people can be hard because a lot of the times we don't think of something that we
mm,
can really add because
mm,
they seem to have everything that we would like to reach, not
mm,
necessarily like speaking materially, like not
yeah,
speaking about things, but more
yeah,
about like knowledge and achievements
yeah.
and reaching goals
Mm,
and all this mindset that they've developed. But what could one
mm.
give to a mentor that is valuable to them?
Yeah, you okay, so in that when thinking about what you can offer to the mentor and all this, right? My suggestion is don't think too much about I need to get it correct at the start.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is ask yourself what can you offer first. And then in the first sort of discussion with the possible mentor, right, when seeking to be mentored by the by him or her, you
Mm-hmm.
put it on the table and says that, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can do for you in exchange for your mentorship and all this.
Mm.
Uh, then let the mentor discuss with you lah and say that, hey, or maybe I'm not looking for this. I'm looking for something else instead. Will you be interested
Mm.
to help me with this and all this?
Mm.
I can safely tell you people who are keen to do mentoring and all this, right? They are very nice people. One, you can discuss. You can discuss and all this. And sometimes they don't even require that from you.
Mm-hmm.
They may just say that, hey, okay, I tell you what, I can do the mentoring for you, no issues at all. But
Mm-hmm.
what probably I will need from you is, can you maybe do a quick review on my mentorship, or you can do a quick review on LinkedIn, put up a review on me and all this during the mentorship. What's the mentorship experience like and all this. So yeah, you don't have to try and get it correct at the start.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
put something on the table at least, because once you
Yes.
have something on the table, you show some sincerity. You show some sincerity that you want to work together with the mentor. Uh,
Mm.
uh, so after you have offered that already, and let's say the mentorship goes through, that means you start the mentorship sessions and all this, right? I think one very important thing that a lot of all these mentees need to remember is respect their time. Don't go to the mentorship session unprepared. Always prepare yourself, prepare the questions that you like to ask, and also share what are the thought process that you have already gone through before you ask those questions. So the mentor at least will know that, oh, okay, if I were to help you, I need to understand what you have taught before and all this, right? Before
Mm-hmm.
I can share more
Mm-hmm.
resources with you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something very important. Uh,
Yeah, that's super interesting. I feel
mm,
like for me personally, and I would be really interested for the people listening to give some feedback on this, but
mm,
uh, it is really something that I didn't have clearly in mind, and like the fact of putting something in the table. I mean, the valuing the time is yeah is super important, but putting something on the table is super insightful, and
mm,
like trying to find a way to work with someone, as you mentioned, good mentors may be quite busy, so finding a way to help them out
yep,
so that then they can spend time with you,
yep,
this is super insightful, and I will definitely do it. So thank you very much.
yep, yep.
um, so now that we're kind of in the framework of like data science, growing a career out of it,
Mm,
um, I would like to ask you about how does a data scientist improve
mm,
and gain skills. I
mm,
would maybe like to learn more about this framework that you have for like someone that wants to grow a career.
mm.
As you mentioned a bit earlier, grow the salary with it too. Uh,
Ah,
but and also maybe like how to choose the formations that data scientist is going to do to gain in skills, because there are so many formations.
yeah, I that's a very good question on like how I would say at the end of the day, a data scientist is like wine. The
Okay.
more experience we have, so for a wine, right, the more valuable a wine gets is through the years, right? Through the years.
Mm,
So similarly, I would say a data scientist, how valuable a data scientist is, right, is by the amount of project he or she has worked on. The more project he or she has worked on, right, I would say the more valuable he or she
mm,
is for the experience and the skills and all this. Now, why do I say that? Is because again, going back to the point about data scientist is a solution provider through data. Uh, there are many different problems out there.
mm-hmm,
Yes, we can say that at the end of the day, all these problems are maybe NLP or computer vision or tabular data and all this. At the end of the day, you can still group them under these three. But all these projects that you have, right, are unique. All the data projects, I can safely say are unique. Why unique is because they have different data challenges. They will have different data business challenges.
mm,
Because it depends on which industry pillar you're in, right? It depends on which industry pillar you're in. And then it also depends on the company you're in, because the company's revenue model or business model will drive how you solve the problems as well. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
So in order to be able to be versatile as a
mm-hmm,
solution provider, you need to be able to expose to different tools and solutions.
mm,
And how do you get exposed to different tools and solutions, right? It's through working on projects.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, so when you keep on working, the more projects you work on, right, you will accumulate the knowledge of, hey, this tool A, right, tool A is very good for this kind of situation, tool A is very bad for that kind of situation and all this. So this kind of knowledge base will help you in the next project.
mm-hmm,
uh, and the more knowledge you build, right, you can sort of visualize it, right? The more knowledge you build, right, the knowledge that you have will expand as it goes along. uh, and this expanded knowledge base, right, will then really help you a lot more tremendously in the next project. Yeah.
mm,
So I would say at the end of the day, how to improve as a data scientist is try to work on as many projects as possible and try to have a variety of projects that you're working on as well. So not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily just only do tabular data
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you can do some projects on NLP, work on some projects on computer vision,
Mm-hmm.
work on some projects on maybe IoT sensors data and all this, and then that will help to expand your horizon further. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's super insightful.
Yep.
And as for deciding for like formations, courses,
Mm.
um, so you would recommend more to like try to do things
Mm.
than really enroll in some classes, or would you also recommend for data scientists to go to some courses like Udemy courses,
Mm.
data
Mm.
camp, or all of that?
Okay, so that's a good question. And as I go along in my own career journey as well, right? I think everyone has very different learning style.
Mm,
Everyone has a very different learning style. Some people like it to be structured. Some people like it to be a bit more haphazard. So when I
mm,
say haphazard means that maybe they want to do their own self learning, and as they do their own self learning, right, they bump into walls or they found something interesting,
mm,
and all this. So, um, but you can't run away from the fact that you need to learn. You need to actually at least learn. So let's maybe use an example here. You need to at least know how. I don't know whether your audience still remember this tool called Hadoop, but you
yeah.
need to at least know how Hadoop works. Then you'll be able to determine whether Hadoop is suitable for a certain situation or not.
Mm,
So how
mm-hmm,
you learn about Hadoop, right, could be maybe through YouTube videos, right, through YouTube videos or through reading other people's blog, or you could have learned Hadoop through a structured course, right? So at the end of the day, you need so it really depends on your needs, on your
mm-hmm,
learning needs, on your learning style and all this, right? Then you go for
mm,
the style that you're looking for. So
mm,
I won't say courses are bad. I won't say courses are bad. But I will say find something that suits your learning style. However,
mm,
let's say if you're looking for courses, uh, you have to be very mindful here, because if you go to a course to learn technical skills, right?
mm-hmm,
Technical skills are easily available online.
mm,
Technical skills are easily available online. So you are paying for what? You are paying for curation. You're paying for someone to curate the materials. That the materials presented to you in the course, right, are the
mm-hmm,
essential really.
mm,
Are the essential, are the truth. So I put in quotes, are the truth. Uh,
mm,
so then you have to be able to know how to select the right courses then. Uh,
mm,
so for most people then you will have this kind of question, right? They will say that, hey, cool, you say that we need to be able to know whether the content is correct or not. But
mm,
there's a reason why we are going for the course, right? Because we want to understand the content and all this. So how do you know whether content is good or bad or whatever?
mm-hmm,
My suggestion to that is this: take the outline, take the course outline, look for a practitioner, get a few practitioners. Actually, look for a few practitioners, share the outline with them, and ask for their opinion whether this is a good course to go for or not.
mm,
Uh, and then take into account their opinions first, right, before you sign up for any courses. Uh,
mm-hmm,
so that's one. The other thing is also, I think a course value adds, right, through the instructor also.
mm,
So just before this podcast, I did a post on LinkedIn, right? So one of my friend was asking me how do I select the courses. So what I suggested are 2 points. Look for the instructor. Look for courses where they publish the instructor background experience. If the
mm-hmm,
instructor background and experience is something that you feel that, yeah, I think he or she has the right background and experience to teach,
mm-hmm,
then go for it.
mm,
Then go for it. Because you don't want an instructor, right, that reads from the slides and then that's about it already.
yeah,
Then if the instructor going to read from the slide, then why bother to pay so much money for the course, right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah. So that's one. Second thing is also ask the opinions of the past participants.
mm-hmm,
Ask opinions about past participants whether, hey, so now you have went for this particular course already, right? Do you find it relevant for your work? So which are the content that you find it relevant to your work and all this? So you have a better idea
Mm.
whether this course is suitable for you or not. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so to summarize the whole thing, I would say is learn through a style that suits you. It could be courses, it could be self-learning. And let's say if you're going for courses, then look out for the instructor background experience and also share the outline with different practitioners and
Mm-hmm.
also have a chat with past participants. I think that will
Mm.
help in selecting the right courses for you. Yeah.
Mm. That's super interesting. And
Mm,
I feel like courses are might be better when someone is quite new with the concepts of the field.
mm, mm.
But once someone's understand, like you mentioned, Hadoop and how does it work, and Hive and Spark
Yeah.
and every component that it has, HDFS,
Mm,
Yarn,
yeah.
Zookeeper, I'll
Zookeeper.
keep going on.
Yeah, yeah. Slowly you see that you get a lot of keywords. You get a lot of keywords.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
Uh,
all of these are tools that every tool could be speaked about during a lot of time, and on YouTube. Harvard classes are available online on technologies, on coding. So I really take your point on everything is out there in internet, and courses just will take the truth. And I think courses might be good at some point to understand the concepts when we don't have enough concepts to go and try things out and
yeah.
try to build something.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel. And then what I also really liked what you mentioned about knowing yourself and
Mm,
how what is your most efficient learning method.
yeah.
That was super insightful. um Great. Awesome. So I think I would really like now to ask you about ethic, because you mentioned ethic before. Like you mentioned
Mm,
building the three E, and one of the E is ethic.
yeah.
What is your point of view of ethic in the
Mm.
AI field?
Um, Personally, I'm not a big fan of the term AI ethics in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, when the term came out, right, AI ethics came out, it was very focused on making machines ethical. But I always hold this point. I always have this point to discuss, right? And say that if you say you want to make a machine ethical, does that mean that we also have a solution to make humans ethical in the first place?
Mm.
But we all know that's not the case, all right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we all know it. We all know that it's to say someone is ethical is also quite challenging as well. Quite challenging to determine that. So I think I'm more a big fan of this term called AI professionals ethics. That means
Mm.
getting professionals who are in the AI industry, right, to think more ethically, to
Mm.
think about the impact that we create through our work. I
Mm.
think that is the most important. I
Mm-hmm.
mean let me give other examples here lah. Like for instance, I don't maybe the audience do not remember, but if the audience still remember in the 2000s, uh, there was accounting frauds. There was accounting fraud. So the two biggest company that committed accounting fraud was Tyco and Enron. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
whether still any one of your member audience still remember that. So what happened there? The accountants were not behaving ethically. They didn't think. I would say they probably didn't think about the impact that they have created through their accounting work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. That's one example. Then let's bring something a bit more recent, which is during the financial crisis, the 2008 financial crisis. We
Mm-hmm.
all know what happened. The bankers didn't behave ethically again.
Mm-hmm.
They were very focused on selling investment products to a
Yes.
point where the investment product even doesn't make sense to be part of a portfolio, but
Mm-hmm.
it still went through, right? It still went through. So to these two, right? And looking at these two, I'll say that yeah, I think what we should be focusing on is AI professionals ethics. How do
Mm-hmm.
we make AI professionals more think about the impact that we are creating?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's not so straightforward. It's not so easy as well. Why is that the case, right? Because if you just look at ethics alone, right? There are many different types of ethics. No? I was looking at this book, Ethics for Dummies. Wow, when I look at it, there are like I think 7 or 8 different types of ethics out there. No,
Mm-hmm.
who is to say one is better than the other? I don't think we want to go into that kind of debate. Also, like we say that maybe, we say that ethics, school ethics, school A or ethics, right, is better than school B or ethics. I don't think we want to go into that kind of debate. It's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult. It's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult and very challenging. But what we can do is we get the professionals, right, to focus and think about the impact of their work. I think that should be something we should focus on. So how do we do that, right? How do we do that? Personally, I feel we need to build a knowledge base.
Mm-hmm.
We need to build preferably an international level knowledge base. What do I mean by that would be, at the international level, right, all those failed use failed use cases of AI, or cases of AI used badly, they should be found in this knowledge base. So all of us who are working in the AI field, right, can always refer back to this knowledge base to look out for examples, and then bring these examples, right, back to our work, and then help us to think a bit better on creating the AI that we desire, and not creating an AI that will that will make a negative impact. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be something we should be looking at. Uh,
Mm. So like kind of building an historical background of things that
yeah,
have been achieved,
yeah.
and using reinforcement learning on the professionals.
Yeah, something like that. You can say reinforcement learning on the professionals and all this lah. Yeah. As for how to do that reinforcement learning, setting up the environment and all this, I think that's another topic to discuss.
Yes, another episode, another podcast.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, last question of the podcast before me asking you a few following up questions,
sure.
just to close this episode.
Mm,
I would really like to have your point of view of the field of AI and
mm,
where it's going in the future, like the evolution,
mm,
the jobs, the market. Do you
mm.
have some insights and a point of view on that point?
Personally, I'm a big fan of AI.
Me too.
I'm still very excited by it. Even though I think right now we don't see a lot of breakthrough, I would say. So I think some of the audience may say that, cool, are you sure there's no breakthrough? You look at ChatGPT and all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, use case, I would say yes, there may be more bigger breakthrough. But in terms of algorithms, I don't think so,
Mm-hmm.
because I think right now we are very focusing on foundational models. So foundation models means those large models that has a lot of nodes and all this. Um, Now I hold a different opinion to some of the titans of the industry, which is like maybe Joshua Bengio, Geoffrey Hinton, and Jan LeCun and all this. Right? I don't think neural network is the final model to build
Yeah.
artificial general intelligence. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that is the case. I mean, we can discuss about the architecture and all this. I mean, there may be different architecture, but personally, I feel regardless of how you tune the architecture and all this, I don't think it is the final. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's the final model to build
Mm.
artificial general intelligence. But having said that, artificial general intelligence, I think, is just only one area of artificial intelligence. Let's say, but if you look at artificial intelligence as a career, then I will say I'm quite confident about it. I'm quite confident that if you are interested about artificial intelligence and you want to build career from it, right? I can safely say you should have a career in the next few decades.
Mm.
Why is that so? Right, is because if you look at the current state of artificial intelligence right now,
Mm-hmm.
we have built it to a point of what I call smarter automation. We have built artificial intelligence to a point that is a smarter automation as compared to previous automation that we probably have seen. And with that in mind, right, almost all industry, I would say almost all industry will definitely need automation to a certain extent.
Mm.
So, which means there is a lot of green field right now to apply the current state of artificial intelligence.
Mm.
There's a lot of green field, there's a lot of opportunities for that. So since there are a lot of opportunities, means that anyone who wants to do AI as a career, I can safely say there's a lot of opportunity. Now, however, I'm pretty sure most people say that, cool, are you sure that's the case or not? Especially on the background of all this tech layoff and all this, right? Uh, I kind of feel optimistic about the tech layoff. It sounds a bit ironic, but I'm quite optimistic about it because from a longer run perspective, I think the industry will benefit a lot. The professionals will benefit a lot. How so, right? Is because those people who are hired by the big tech firms, right? They are now distributed since they are let go already, right? Since they are laid off, right? They are now going into a different kind of companies.
Mm-hmm.
Different kind of companies. It could be startups. It could be small medium enterprises, which previously they have trouble trying to hire.
Mm-hmm.
They have trouble trying to hire. So, but now they are able to hire. And now since they are able to hire, they are now able to also learn more about AI. They are able to learn more about data science.
Mm.
And with that, right, will come more use cases.
Mm.
And more use cases means what? Higher demand for the skills.
Mm.
Higher demand for the skills. So if you ask me, I'm optimistic in the longer run, right? This tech layoff actually will increase and improve the demand for tech people
Mm-hmm.
from a longer term perspective. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this answer. Yeah, I really agreed in terms of like evolutions of algorithms. If I come back to your first point,
Mm,
in terms of evolution algorithm and all of that, I think we might see some breakthrough now with quantum computing
mm,
and the fact that we need to rebuild all the machine learning. Um, I want to become very ease with the concept. I just know that so far it's like binary. The computers are either 0 or 1, and quantum
mm,
computing allow you to be both at the same time.
yeah.
This is my basic fundamentals, but I would like to have your point of view on that. And
Mm,
just regarding your second point, I recorded the podcast with Ricardo Michel Reyes.
mm,
I think when this episode will be out, the podcast will be available,
mm,
and it have been in the so who is Ricardo? He's chief scientist officer of Eridit, a
mm,
startup, a very good startup that use NLP
mm,
to measure how the people feel in a company,
mm.
and like having real KPIs of
Oh,
how do they feel, and not
okay.
only by doing surveys, because no one answered correctly the survey. So they have really pushed it, and it's super interesting. And we talked about all those topics about like global, how the world, like ethics,
Mm,
when jobs are being automized, how how do we make it ethical, and how don't we increase, how do we make sure that we will not increase the inequality between some countries that are getting more and more advanced and
mm.
some countries um, that are suffering those gap through. So we talk about that with Ricardo, and it have been super
Wow.
insightful. I would like to have your perspective on the quantum computing, and maybe could it be a breakthrough for you? And yeah, I would like to have your point of view.
I'm quite excited about quantum computing because I also strongly believe that with quantum computing, once it becomes more commercialized,
Mm-hmm.
currently right now it's very difficult. It's very difficult to get quantum computing into a small chip.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening right now. But once we are able to tap onto quantum computing, I'm pretty sure it's the same impact to cybersecurity as well. So cybersecurity space, right? They already have already said once quantum computing comes to the picture, right? The whole RSA algorithm is gone, which is what we're using. So I think it's a similar thing to AI as well. Uh, so why that is the case is because assuming that is correct, quantum computing does computation computation faster than the classical computing. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the assumption that we are building on. So if that happens, with more computation power, generally we can make the computers calculate faster. So calculate faster means that it can then, if we look from maybe let's say from a international chess perspective, right? That means it can calculate a few more steps forward. So a few more steps forward will definitely help to make better decisions. Put it this way, yeah. So I'm quite excited by it, by quantum computing, and I do think that quantum computing will do a very big fundamental change
Mm.
to AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping, actually, in fact, I'm looking out for papers, right, on quantum machine learning.
Mm.
I'm looking out for papers on that. So if the audiences can share with me, please feel free to share with me if you found out anything about quantum machine learning, because currently right now I think our machine learning algorithms are more suitable for classical computing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking forward to quantum machine learning instead. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you so much for coming on this episode. I've learned so much. I have two little questions for us, for you to answer
sure.
just before we finish this episode. But let me tell you that it has been super inspiring talking to you. And I really appreciate all the subjects we discussed. Let us know in the comments or on the socials. How do you feel about this
Mm.
episode? And did you enjoy it? Which part was your favorite part? We would really like to get back on you on these topics, and it would help also for next episodes. So I will go straight forward to the question
Mm.
for the people who are listening and want to know more about you on LinkedIn, on your courses, on your framework that you have with your tech community.
Mm.
What are everything that you have, and how can people reach out?
Okay, so reach out to me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I sort of distribute my content. So look out for me on LinkedIn. Just go to LinkedIn, search, right. Type
Mm-hmm.
my full name, KOO space PING space SHUNG. So far that name is unique. I haven't found someone that has the same name. So if you so the first search should be me. The first search should be me. So if for those people who want to link up with me and have a good discussion on AI and all this, yeah, feel free to look for me on LinkedIn. And if you're interested, also can look for my podcast called Symbolic Connection,
Mm-hmm.
which I do it with my co-host. And on YouTube, right? The YouTube channel is called Building Intelligence Together.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, really to select the one that has a lot more engagement, right? Look for me on LinkedIn. Yeah,
Mm. I'll put all the links in the description of the podcast and everywhere so that people can access to all of your platforms and where you're active so that they can learn more about you.
great. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. So, last question, and I
Sure.
thank you again for coming on the episode. Do you have a message that you want to share with the audience
Mm.
and about AI in general? It can be a personal message.
I think the message is this: keep learning about AI, because I think the field of AI, data science, and all this they are still growing. So keep learning. Be open minded, but also be critical. When I say critical, means that even for anything that I say during this episode, please think about it also. Please think about it whether you agree with me, don't agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, why is that the case and all this. I think going forward, regardless of which career you're in, which job you're in, I think critical thinking is going to be very, very important. We were talking about this age of this misinformation age and all this, right? So critical thinking is important. So please always think critically on what people are sharing with you. Uh, so I think will be the final message I would say. Although there are other messages, but I think this is something I think quite useful, regardless of whether you're in the AI space or not. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Well, thank you a lot for your time,
Thank you.
Q, and I look forward to speak with you
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas, for having me.
Bye.